Hiya. Hey,
Hey.
Fernanda. Well, I think if you okay to move your camera to the phone to this way. Oh my God, that's good. That
Okay,
is good.
hold on, because I got a phone. I'm not used to do videos with the phone. So,
I know.
there. Nice.
Are you trying to say you are not millennium generation?
I
I
am,
think
but I'm not a great one.
I think in among my friends, people don't know my age, or maybe they know it. I pretend they don't know my age,
Yeah.
but in among my friends, you are the young one.
Yeah. Well, you look very young, Rod. I mean, I don't know what's your secret.
Only look. I think it's a bit Asian.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
DNA.
I think so. But I think that it's interesting. We were very easy to get old, like one snap,
Mm,
one
mm,
night, one night only, and then the magic gone.
mm.
Magic fade away, and then we'll become like, ooh, a little bit. Yeah, so, okay. So, hello, everyone. Welcome to Astro Live. And this week, we have my good friend, Fernanda. And Fernanda is from Brazil, but living in London and studying MA degree, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm not
Okay.
in London anymore, but yes, I'm in the UK again. So,
Oh, sorry.
no,
Yes.
it's all right.
In the UK, yeah. So, and I remember for last couple of months, you also traveling around not only in UK, you also in the Europe, somewhere
Yeah,
in Europe.
yeah.
And how's weather? Because for last couple of months, we all experience like a extreme weather.
Yeah, it's quite daunting, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
when I was in Greece, so I spent
Mm-hmm.
3 months in Athens, and it was extremely hot there every day,
Yeah.
like really
Yeah.
sunny.
Mm-hmm.
And now here I'm in Malvern, which is near Worcester in the
Yeah.
UK, and
Mm-hmm.
it's about 29 degrees. It's like really, yeah.
Unbelievable. And then this weekend will be even more. I think this
Mm,
weekend will be up to 30 degrees. I think with my experience, I think for last maybe 10 years, I think that for the UK, when the temperature go above 30 degrees, only lasts for 1 or 2 days and it will gone. And sometimes you get really upset about it. Now this year is like extreme, and I think, and we don't have much rain. I think in the southeast area of England and London, I think they are talking about have a pipe ban, so we are not going to allow to have we use water for garden, and you probably have to be very careful with water, which
yeah.
it doesn't really happen very often in England, because what we don't like is water, and now we just like, oh, we need to be careful with water. So this extreme weather, what do you see in astrology? How do you see with this kind of a situation with astrology?
With the astrological symbolism, I
Yeah.
think, I definitely think there's something about that Uranus in Taurus
Mm-hmm.
that's connected to the climate and the whole climate thing becoming very urgent. And I
Mm-hmm.
think specifically now as well, I was looking into the transits for the last heat wave, which was July, and
Yes.
then this heat wave now as well. And I was seeing that the moon was transiting Aquarius, so it was transiting Aquarius just before the heat wave last time, and now
Yes.
it's going to be in Aquarius again. So basically, that Saturn
Ah.
Uranus square, I think, is something that's definitely connected to the whole climate. I mean, next year when Pluto moves into Aquarius, I think we're going to see a lot of
Yes.
that,
Yes.
more and more frequent as well, I think.
I agree. I agree. Yes, the situation is like when we have. I think there's so many ways to so-called forecasting the astrological weather thing, and but exactly I think especially Mars is one. Mars and Saturn, they usually plan for the bad weather. Either it's too dark, too cold, or too hot. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and also you see their sign. And I think that what I try to read some ancient technique is quite interesting. I think also Sue Tompkins also apply this technique, talking about the use the new moon or full moon to talk
Oh,
about the weather,
right.
And so apparently, I think we know the last I think the least coming full moon on Friday, we
Mm-hmm.
have the moon is very close to Saturn,
Mm-hmm.
and the sun, moon, and Uranus and the Mars form a T square, cardinal T square. Well, in the political economic, there's a lot of things we can talk about. But if we see on the weather, this is kind of a go extreme, I think. Yeah. And we know this Friday in this area, in our area, would be like an extreme hot, with extreme hot. Let me show you the chart if you can see it. Nice. Let me try. Yeah. Oh, I have to go maybe like smaller, like this.
Nice.
Yeah.
You can feel the chart. I don't even know how to do that yet.
Well, I just you know, turn the camera to another side.
Right. So you're like, I see.
and make another side just face to the computer. Yeah.
Nice.
So we can see. Yeah, this is the full moon chart. This is full moon chart, and we have the like a moon conjunct the Saturn. That would be because the Saturn Uranus square usually is kind of go extreme. Yeah. And I think it's go to the node, so people will experience it. But when Mars square this, you know, Sun and Moon, usually they were talking about the heat or fire. And what surprised me, because I think we can see that coming, you know, that coming. Yeah.
And I mean that Mars is also very close to ALGO as well, isn't it?
Yes,
Mars is at 25 Taurus.
Yeah.
So this full moon is definitely going to be quite revealing about this situation.
Or
the whole climate issue, which obviously is not a yesterday, or, you know, it's not going to be solved in the next few days either. I think it's just like this huge eye-opening happenings that we're having now, and also having the nodes involved, you know, in this full moon. Yeah.
Well, I think have the node involved is usually it make it more clear and people will aware about it. And especially, I think this week we will have that sun traveling from like a middle of Leo, and by the Friday it will form the full moon. So and this degree is triggered Saturn Uranus square. So whole Saturn Uranus square theme from last year, we are going to, because sun is see, I see, we see. So we're going to witness that, you know, we're going to witness that situation. But and the thing is like we are really hoping. Well, if just talking about weather, I think really hope that is not going to last that long, you know. But with that fixed square.
Yeah, I mean it's exactly, fixed signs, they tend to last a little longer, isn't it?
Yeah, a little longer. Yes, I agree. Yes.
Yeah. I have this feeling as well, and I have this sense that the whole Aquarian theme there as well, because the last heat wave also had the moon just recent traveling Aquarius.
Oh yes,
that is also you know, with the full moon being in Aquarius, there's a sort of a highlighting that.
Exactly. Yes,
it's definitely bringing that to the surface. Yeah,
it was very interesting. I mean, when you notice that Aquarius, because I think the this year we have this kind of when the Saturn Uranus square in the fixed sign, and then every time when moon go through either, you know, Leo or Scorpio or Aquarius, that usually is going to trigger that Saturn Uranus square, and it could be applied in so many different areas in our life. One thing, I don't know, have you noticed news, because I know you're quite busy, but today's news, one thing triggered me is that what we call beluga whale, a white whale, is like lost its way and swim into the French River.
All right.
And they try to rescue it, and from yesterday they try to rescue it, and they try to move it to, you know, to a big tank, and they raised, and they say eventually if that is that okay, they will release it back to the sea.
Right.
Well, unfortunately, they have to put it down today. It's sad news. It's a really sad news, you know. And this don't really haven't really often. I think last year, it's not last year. There's sometime, I think there's another whale was in Thames, and people was all focused on it too. And but we can see that, I think in the symbolic And wheel is in astrology could be like you can say Pisces or you can say Jupiter. I think Jupiter is a large animal,
Yeah.
you know, and
Yeah.
then you can see that Jupiter is getting close to Chiron, getting close to Chiron, and you can see that kind of it make us aware about the whole situation, you know, what we've done to our environment, and that is, I don't know.
Yeah, and definitely. I mean, and all the wildfires as well. I think there's been a lot of wildfires in the news with the heat wave, and I think that's definitely that. Jupiter in Aries, they're like setting the whole thing on fire, being ruled by that Mars involved in the whole. In the whole configuration as well, with Uranus conjoined the North Node. I mean, there's a lot of eye-opening events that we're gonna have around us now in terms of the environment and in terms of the weather as well. I feel, I mean,
I think it's very interesting that when you mention about the Jupiter in Aries, because that move once a year. So, you know, when you move in and out between the Pisces and the Aries, that really drew our attention. And from this year to next year is a big move between Aries to the next year would be Taurus. But when it's in Aries, we have this kind of fire energy. We have this kind of active energy. And the people, when we read the chart, when we read for the human being, when a client individual, we will tend to think about fire quality of a person or psychological way or how they manifest it in their life. But in the mundane astrology, when we're talking about mundane astrology, sometimes very interesting. It's a very literally fire. It's a very literally fire, blast, blaze, or you know, explosion or something. And when you mentioned about the wildfire, I have to say, it was so surprised because where I live in South London, when last heat wave coming, and we have a wildfire just 2 miles away from my house, and I was stunning, to be honest.
This is crazy.
I never know I could be so close to so-called, you know, wildfire, and that is kind of pretty scary, to be honest, pretty scary. And I think if this is not going to make me or make anyone living around here aware about climate change, I don't know what can.
Yeah, exactly. Is that Jupiter on your IC by any chance? It's gonna set your house on fire.
Oh, let me think. No, but it's near MC. Sorry.
Right. Okay. Yeah. You're gonna be known by that Jupiter. I'm looking on the transits for last heat wave. So Jupiter wasn't retrograde yet. And there were a couple of planets in Cancer, but Jupiter wasn't really transitioning now. But I do feel that Jupiter.
What's the degree?
8 degrees. Aries was still in the same degree of now, but it was going forward. And the Sun and Mercury was at 23, 24 Cancer. So it's kind of coming to an opposition to Pluto,
Let me see if I can move to that. Sun and Moon is 23, right? Cancer.
Yeah. So, I mean, the Moon was in Pisces there. It was the 16th of July. I saw an article today that was 16th of July to the 19th, I think was the peak of the last heat wave.
Oh, yes.
In the UK. I mean, 40 degrees in the UK, that was really scary.
Oh, dear, yes. Oh, I remember that. That was the day we have the fire. That's the day we have the fire, right? 14 degrees. And the fire, I think there's at least 3 or 4 fire in the England area, and the one is really close to my place. And that was pretty sad. Okay, let me show the chart. I put it in the midday.
Nice. Yeah, that's it. 23 degrees Cancer.
Yes.
The Moon in Pisces. I mean, the Moon had just conjoined Saturn the day before, so we have a kind of a similarity to the full moon that we're gonna have now, right?
Yes.
Picking up that Saturn-Uranus square and the nodes as well. It's really becoming urgent, isn't it? It's an urgent question for survival, really.
To be honest, yes.
Yeah. Because the nodes are involved, I really think that's something major generational, obviously the Uranus as well. Yeah.
Yeah, this is kind of, that was because this make me curious about the full moon, because
Mm-hmm.
if I move the moon back a little bit, we will have a full moon.
Mm-hmm. In
Uh,
Capricorn,
in
at 21
Capricorn, yeah,
Capricorn.
21 Capricorn, yes, yes, 21 Capricorn. This I think that's have a form a sextile to the Uranus,
Mm-hmm.
yes, and then also the
Trine from the
try
moon
try the moon, but also I think it would be very close to six
to
degree
Pluto.
away from Pluto, 6 degree from the Pluto. I
Yeah.
think that would be like a go a little bit extreme. I think this type of weather is a little bit. I think I agree. When we use this kind of astrology tool, it's a very useful. You can see it's not one symbol. To be honest, the people will say which one suggests the wildfire or which
Mm.
one suggests the extreme weather. To be honest, my experience, I think is, well, there's a symbol, but it's not one symbol, one situation. For
Yeah, it's a
example, if
collection.
like
Yeah.
like what I said in the July full moon chart, you will have Sun Moon conjunct Pluto. That is a crisis, symbol of crisis, and both square Chiron
Mm.
and with Mercury. So there is a crisis there, but you don't know what's the crisis. You can read the sign, you can read the symbol,
Yeah.
but it's not like, oh, Mars doesn't aspect anything of the sun or moon. How could you say extremely weather? That's the symbolic reading, because
Mm.
when we read one symbol, it can apply to a lot of things. That's
Mm.
astrology. It's
Mm.
not just like every time when it has extremely weather, definitely has Mars involved. Mars is
Yeah.
one symbol of extreme weather, and the other extreme situation could be Uranus, and could be Pluto, could be
Mm-hmm.
Saturn,
Yeah.
could be the Scorpio sign, could be the Aquarius. All those signs have a little bit of the go eccentric and extreme, and sometimes it could be like it located in a house of a new moon chart or full moon chart or eclipse chart. All these kind of things, can
Yeah.
explain. That's how we do the astrology with we say it's not totally weather, but you can say the natural disaster or,
Mm.
or or forecast anything. We need to be careful, and
Yeah.
that's how astrology works. And it's very easy and simple. But what we shouldn't do is like, oh, just one planet represent one thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or a sign will represent one thing. I think what we need to keep an eye on is what kind of style that planet will represent. If
Mm.
that's what we find in extreme weather, for example, which is what we're talking about now,
Yeah.
and try to find a signature that could be reflecting that. I mean, when I
Yeah.
think about Aquarius, I think about that Saturn Jupiter conjunction as well. It's like 2020 Saturn
Yeah.
Jupiter as 0 Aquarius.
Yeah.
Pluto will enter Aquarius next year. There is something about that signature and the fixed signs at the moment for these
Mm.
few years now that we'll be
Mm.
talking about the climate crisis and how
Yeah.
we readjust, how we
Mm.
make adjustments there to
Mm.
counteract, to
Mm.
survive, basically, which is a very Pluto.
I think I agree with you, because it's interesting. Like we are watching we notice about the current conflict in the whole world. They maybe Afghanistan, maybe the China and Taiwan, or maybe anywhere else. Today is quite interesting. One of my friends tell me, say, we probably need a one big thing to unite humanity together. And I was joking. I was like, well, how about alien invasion? People are usually laughing. But I think that's a sci-fi scenario about the alien invasion. But when you mention about Pluto in Aquarius, make me think about one thing, because Aquarius, this sign, is humanitarian. It's about our community. It's about everyone together. You
Mm-hmm.
and me. There's no class. There's no race. There's
Mm-hmm.
no, who is
Yeah.
better, who is. We have to all working together. And when I think about that, and also Aquarius is something about from the air. So sometimes I'm joking about the aliens, but sometimes I just think weather. The
Yeah.
weather is in the air.
Exactly. Exactly.
The rain, the wind, the
Exactly.
extreme weather. We need to go to deal with when Pluto move in.
Yeah. Exactly.
I think
There's no
they.
separation, isn't it? It's what I was
Yes.
talking about as well. Like this whole, I think this is being brought up already by the whole COVID
Yeah.
crisis of like, okay, with globalization and how far wide things can go. And so then you don't have so much that separation between, okay, we're like first world, countries. So we are okay because our practices and our hygiene is okay. Well, people are traveling all the time. So those boundaries are not, so, they're a lot more fluid. And then when we think about weather as well, that's what I was having conversations about. I mean, the UK can be quite quick to respond to the crisis and really make sure that everything becomes electric and whatever by 2050. But what about all the other countries? What about the second world, third world countries? And I think that's very Aquarian as well. It's like, if we don't do this together, that there's no way one country will survive. Everything will be, part of the crisis. I really feel that's such an Aquarian thing as well. It's this whole sense of we're together in this, and how are we going to tackle this?
Yeah. I think you mentioned that one thing is, I think is the very, very spot on, and it's what we need to know is that Jupiter Saturn conjunction at the 0 degree Aquarius, and when the Pluto move in will trigger this. So I think we definitely have to study that chart. Definitely have to study that chart again, because we know that it's like a blueprint for the next 20 years until the next Jupiter-Saturn conjunction. But coincidentally, that one is in that conjunction is last 20 years by the end of 2020, and then we have a Pluto moving into Aquarius. It's also stay there for 20 years.
Yeah,
they are really working together. They really kind of pair each other and say, well, I think when Pluto move into that, I think it would be a little bit heavy-handed. Because when we study the mundane astrology, we know when you're talking about the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction, you have a 10 year to build up and another 10 year to take it down. And but also before you build up anything, you have to take down a lot of things too. I think that like that Pluto is like what they say that a weak ball, going to knock everything out at once. So we can build up something, but that is kind of quite brutal, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, think about when Pluto entered Capricorn, isn't it? We had that recession straight away, and now with so when Pluto enters Aquarius, I think we will have something of, I think it was Frank used to say, in the context of your solar return, when you have a planet, or no, it was solar arc direction. So when a planet moves signs, which will be there for 30 years. You kind of experience in a nutshell what those 30 years will be about in that first year. And I have a sense that this happens with the transits as well. So when Pluto moves, when Pluto moved into Capricorn in 2008, we had a little bit of a nutshell of what Pluto in Capricorn was kind of more or less be about. So next year we'll have, we'll witness what Pluto in Aquarius kind of will be about. And in the context of these climate that we've witnessing, I mean, I've never seen 40 degrees in England. I mean, this is quite this is really shocking and really insane. So it might not, we're talking about heat waves now, but what about winter? What's going to happen in winter? Or what's going to happen on, there are like floods in Korea as well that's happening, right? I saw that as well. So I was thinking, so next year with Saturn going into Pisces as well, so what is going to happen there? Because with the heat wave thing, there are the consequences that are, so you have all of these different climate consequences from one another. And I think next year will be quite key. That we'll be witnessing that. Even October now as well, right? Because October now we have the last square between Saturn and Uranus.
Yes. So that one is quite tight. That one is like a last one and very close. So we will definitely see lots going on during that time. And never forget, I think because when you're talking about how about the winter, we really don't know because this winter in the astrology we have one thing is that Mars in the Gemini and the
Yeah,
stay
it will be
there,
retro, no?
stay there and retrograde, and then it's not going until next year. It's like, wow.
It's true.
The Mars will go wild during the winter time. So,
True.
that
Yeah.
would be really worth us to keep an eye on that Mars. And then also, I really don't know. I really don't know what we're going to do with that. That is
Mars, it will be retrograde and it'll be square Neptune.
Yes.
For like a couple of times.
Yes.
Jupiter will go back to Pisces as well.
Yes.
So there'll be something interesting around that time as well.
Yes.
And we don't know, right? Because I would imagine with heat waves will have something, a consequence to counterbalance that.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
This is really very interesting. I would like to share a little bit like what I say. So I think if you know a little bit of astrology and you really want to know where you live, how's the forecast, the weather, I think the new moon, full moon is very easy tool, and also I think the eclipse chart is usually the major theme when you look at the eclipse chart, and to read from your area, from your location, and to see which way, where sun is, where moon is, and what's the aspect between sun, moon, and those extreme planets like Saturn, like Mars, like Uranus, and you can do a little bit interpretation. That's how ancient people doing that. And they also read the signs. Very interesting, because when they read the sign, so it's like air sign. Air sign would be, fire sign would be hot and dry. So the water sign would be cold and wet, and then air sign would be hot and moist, hot and wet, and then the earth sign would be cold and dry. So they read that, not only with the planet, but also Mars is always hot and Saturn is always cold. It's quite interesting. I think that it's very simple, very simple. And one of our friend, Tanya, last time you're working together with her, Tanya told me something else is even more interesting. She's really into this kind of with declination and the things. I mean, that is, you need a whole lecture to talk about that. But that is kind of interesting. But I think with the new moon and full moon, you can usually work things out. So with that full moon chart, we see it about the August, this Friday. Well, I would say this kind of weather will stay a little bit longer. Yeah.
The hot weather, right?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. With the main fixity. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think. Oh, hello, Stephen. I think I just see one of our friends just logging. Yeah, he say hello.
Nice.
Hi, Stephen. Yeah, it's quite cool. Oh, shit, we're talking about that next time. If Stefan have time to join us, it'll be fun, because he's also into mountain astrology too, and I think he's a quite good astrologer. Yeah, to give him a shout out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, have you noticed that Venus opposite Pluto?
The Venus in Leo.
Yeah, and the opposite Pluto. I think this is a kind of a offside opposition. But what do you see with that?
Well, I mean, that's happened a few days ago, isn't it? Like the exact.
Yes, the exact was.
I mean, it's actually happening today. Yesterday.
Yeah, I think today or yesterday, right? The exact.
Yeah, it was yesterday and today. And then the moon is in Capricorn right now as well. So the moon is kind of triggering that opposition there as well.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, like, what, I tend to think when I think about Venus, Pluto, I always think about deep, intense situations that are pointing out to values. I always think about that. I can't think about the weather when it comes,
Probably not, yeah.
I'm not sure. I mean, what do you think about that?
I don't know. Probably definitely not go with weather, but yeah. But I just I couldn't resist to see that huge opposition is kind of pretty
it's
intense.
Still within orb, yeah.
Yeah, pretty intense in that chart. I was wondering what will happen. What does that aspect is talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I noticed another side is like sorry, I just keep it's not browsing, but I just noticed that Mars is trying Pluto,
Yeah.
and then also we know it's a lie, or some people say conjunct with Algo, so that Mars could be could be a little bit
Trouble.
trouble, yeah, could be a little bit trouble. So like we say, well, if we use this full moon chart to talking about the possible weather, the possible development of this heat wave or the situation, I think it will last a little bit longer. To be honest, yeah, it will last a little bit longer. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and it'll be interesting when the moon crosses, when the moon conjoins Mars as well. Because I think every time the moon hits, these points there, we have a little something happen. So I think it will be an interesting project to keep an eye on the weather and these like changes in the weather by kind of looking into the moon as well. So the moon will conjoin that Mars. Let me see when. I can see on my software actually because I got my software open. So. Yeah, so the moon will conjoin on the 18th. So next Thursday, the moon will then conjoin that Mars in Taurus, and it will be square the sun. Yeah, so it's still being orb with the Sun-Saturn opposition there as well. So it is a quite a powerful signature of this full moon there that will kind of stay for a while.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think, thank you, Fernanda. I think this is so interesting because we can, every week we will talk about this week's transit. And I really encourage our audience, if you have time, if there's some topic you want to know, every week I will announce our topic or something. You can leave me the message. You can send me messages. Tell me what do you think is more interesting to talk, and I will contact with one of our guests like Fernanda, Isabel, or Lian and Alejo. We will pick up the topic and talk about their relationship with the transit, and that would be super interesting. Well, thank you, Fernanda, and thanks everyone joining us. And next week, let me double check the day. I think it's 20. It's not 20. Oh, next week is when? 17th.
Next week is the 17th.
17th is our friend Alejo.
Nice.
Alejo will join us, talk about transit, but the topic we don't know. We will see what happens. We'll see what happens.
What's going to be in the news?
Yeah, what's happened in the news, or if there are any interesting movie, if any interesting gossip. I mean, we are not really limited on the political or serious issue. I mean everything we can relate it to astrology, to be honest. But and it's quite interesting because sometimes when I say I love mundane astrology, and some astrologer will tell me, say, but I don't like politics. I say, well, mundane astrology could be everything, to be honest. It's like a social phenomenon, and what people focus about, what people talking about. If like whatever, like okay, say Big Brother come back to TV. That could be, if people get crazy about it, then we can talk about it because it is a social phenomenon, and why people crazy about looking and like creepy, like creepy way looking at other people's everyday life on TV. Why? What's wrong with that?
Or fashion or anything. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So, see you guys next Wednesday on 5 p.m. Me and Alejo will talk about that, the week transit. Okay? Bye. Thank you for joining us. And thanks, everyone. Bye. Ciao,
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.